There's a report that's doing the rounds right now. I think it's worth a bit of commentary. I was pretty angry when I read it. As cases like this always make me angry. That's the instinct I feel whenever I hear about any kind of abuse of power. So this is from the Houston Chronicle. It's being reported in numerous sources, but this particular one's the Houston Chronicle. Deputy indicted on assault charge after face slapping incident. So September last year, Harris County, Texas, um, Deputy Ellison Collins approached a man in a parking lot outside um, of an IHOP. I'm not sure what that is. It's obviously an American thing. I don't know what that is, but outside this building, this deputy approached an older man, 61-year-old man by the name of Jerry Allen Thacko. Now, there seemed to be some sort of remonstration going on. I don't know what it was about. I don't know if they suspected him of. So I don't know what it was. But basically, Deputy Collins kept sort of goading Mr. Vacco to slap him or to hit him in some way. And I've just got several windows open at the moment, so I don't want to have a distraction while I'm uploading this. Yeah, this was, like I say, September 2018. So Colin, 39, approached Jerry Allen Vacco to slap him in the face, and after Vacco did, Collins returned the slap, but it was with such a force that the man fell to the ground. This is a 61-year-old man, and the deputy is 39. A deputy can be heard, that's Collins, telling the man to slap the S out of me and get it off your chest. Goodness knows what this is about. Are you going to arrest me? Vacco asks. The deputy again tells Vacco to slap him. So this was not a case of an aggressive suspect. The man was clearly hesitant to do it. I'm giving you permission to slap the bleeped out, that must be slap the shit out of me and get it off your chest, the deputy said. Vacco puts a cigarette in his mouth and begins to slowly reach out with his palm towards the deputy. It is unclear in the video if Vacco slapped the deputy. What seems to be the video, I've watched it a few times, is a very light sort of slap. But the response that Collins comes out with, Deputy Collins, is very powerful. It, leaves the man on the ground, and then they proceed to arrest him. Obviously, they're going to get him on assaulting a police officer. Now, there's a few notable things about this case. Ellison Collins didn't have his body cam on, and the incident was only recorded from the body cam of another officer that was in the group. What I find troubling about the case, there's several things. First of all, the fact that he goaded this man to do something which he then arrested him for and lied to the man that he wasn't going to do it. What his motivation for that was, I don't know. One can imagine it was an excuse to arrest the guy. Whether there's some prior history here or not, I don't know. But clearly, I'm going to say this just outright. Deputy Ellison Collins, is a thug and a card. Laying out an old man, an older man, for absolutely no reason. What for? It's a blatant abuse of power. He didn't have his body cam on. Anyway, he's been indicted and he is facing a year in jail and $4,000 conviction charge. $4,000 fine. It's classed as a misdemeanor. Everyone is accountable under the law whether they are wearing a uniform or not, District Attorney Kim Ogg said. Grand jurors represented all of the evidence and determined the deputy should get charged with a crime. Well, this is a better outcome than the Eric Garner case in New York, but it still says a lot about American policing. Now, I know that across the United States there's literally thousands of different police forces, but there is very clearly a problem with cops in America who think that wearing a uniform gives them a right to behave this way, and it's frankly disgusting. This guy should not only never be allowed to wear a uniform again, he should be treated like the bully and the card that he is. Why? Because he was picking on an older man who clearly wasn't in a position to defend himself properly. and he goaded this situation just so he could arrest the guy. Um, I think there's several important questions. First of all, the initial response of the Harris County Police Department was to put him on desk duty. Now, if a citizen assaults a police officer, they'll immediately be arrested, right? And it's the same on this side of the Atlantic. Why is it when cops do this, they're always initially put on desk duty? Now, the police department might say, oh, it's while an investigation is ongoing. Fine, arrest him while, and then have the investigation. Arrest him on suspicion of assault. But in this case, the evidence is clear. And imagine if there had been no body cam on the other cop, then he would have probably got away with it. And that is absolutely, frankly, it's not just disgusting, it's troubling because abuse of power should always be troubling. It threatens democracy and liberty. If you see that and you're not angry, then there's something wrong with you. And I will say this, like my video a few days ago testifies to, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to crime. I support police officers 100% in taking on violent people, criminals, and as we've seen today, terrorists. I mean, that's the contrast, isn't it? You know, those security officers today show great courage, as did citizens. They've done the right thing. They neutralised the terrorist who was posing a threat to the public. In this case, we see blatant abuse of power. So I think the police need to be very closely scrutinised. They need to be given support in obvious situations where they need support, but they also need to be held to account when things like this happen. I don't think the problem in the UK is as deeply entrenched, but I'm not going to say that we don't have police brutality in this country. We do, and we have had examples of it, but not on that scale. And I do not think it's inconsistent to want tough justice for criminals and support the police in tackling dangerous criminals and violent thugs. But when the police are thugs themselves, you know, that's not a good situation. So I don't think it's inconsistent to be conservative on crime, but also be conservative against police brutality. I really don't think that's a contradiction. So this guy needs to go to jail because if it was a regular person assaulting a police officer, you could be damn sure they would be going to jail, if not killed. You know, in America, I definitely would not be surprised. So, in order to show that there aren't double standards, this guy needs to serve his prison sentence for assault. He needs to be prevented from ever wearing the uniform again. And, you know, he's brought this on himself. He chose to take advantage of an older man in that way. He chose to do this. I mean, he should be reprimanded for not wearing his body cam. In fact, I think the officers who don't turn on their body cam, that should get them a fine. Because the question is why? Why would they not turn it on in a situation where they are dealing with confrontation? So it's very good that this was on record, that it was recorded, and I'm pleased it's getting quite a lot of attention. I mean, 250,000 views on a local news network, and the Houston Chronicles reported it, numerous other sources. But this sort of thing really angers people. I'll add one other factor in this case, which might be significant. The cop is black. Okay, Deputy Ellison Collins is a black policeman, black thug in this case. I know Americans, that's not a racialized term on this side of the Atlantic. It might be there, but it isn't here. He's a thug and he's a coward. He's black, and the reason I'm saying that is, you know, Black Lives Matter needs to be consistent. They need to condemn, if their issue is police brutality, they also need to condemn black officers involved in brutality. And in this case, it was a white victim. So, police brutality, whenever it happens, it really needs to, death duty is not good enough. There has to be a fundamental change in culture. Officers need to be arrested. Okay, it can't be. It's not good enough to just put them on desk duty. That's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Um, so yeah, things like that piss me right off because it's blatantly an abuse of power. This guy thinks that wearing a uniform will protect them. That was clearly a strain of thinking. So it's disgusting. Um, from what I've heard, police don't get a nice time of it inside. And I'm not one to promote vigilantism, but I can't say I'd have massive sympathy if, some cons found out this cop was with them. And I hate bullies. My whole life I've hated bullies. I've hated situations like this. I hate abuse of power, whether it be bullying from police or whether it be bullying by criminals to victims, whatever the circumstances, it must be opposed. So it's not anti-police to condemn police brutality. And those people who always have this knee-jerk reaction, oh, he wasn't following police commands or he wasn't complying. Look at situations like this. If this wasn't recorded, then what would the situation be? I think a lot of people would be saying, oh, there's no evidence. And they would automatically play devil's advocate for the cop. If Harris County Police Department has any integrity, they would make sure this guy is never reinstated. Not just in that county, but across nationwide. Nowhere in America should this guy be allowed to wear the uniform again. Is a disgrace to the uniform. And also shaming those cops who were with him and said and done nothing. Now, it might be that he was their superior, but still think it's a bit of, they could have said something like, excuse me, deputy, are we really meant to be doing this? Anything. But there was total silence. They stood there and appeased it. By the way, one last point, wherever the background circumstances is, if they were arresting this man for something, just arrest him. Just look at the video, it speaks for itself. And unfortunately, I don't think this is an isolated case. I think there are a lot of cops in America who have that sort of mindset, and it's very, very worrying. I do believe Texas in particular is a police state. It's a state, but I mean police state in the sense of, yeah, the police have immense power in America, and it's good that he's been indicted, but the fact that he was initially put on desk duty and not arrested, to me, is telling. Yes, there are places in the world where the situation is even worse, but the point is the United States of America is meant to be the beacon of liberty. So this is a grave problem.